By the fourth night, the estate felt like a small village. Without electricity, everyone had started coming out of their apartments to talk and share food. The courtyard that used to be empty after sunset was now alive with laughter, voices, and the smell of chapati and grilled maize. I stepped outside carrying my lantern. The air was cool and the sky looked brighter than I had ever seen it. The stars were clear, as if they had been waiting for the city to quiet down. Malik was already there, helping some children light small candles along the walkway. He looked up and smiled when he saw me. "You brought the famous lantern," he said. I laughed and held it up. It's becoming a community light at this point. We placed it on a stool in the middle of the courtyard. Its warm glow drew more people around. Someone started a soft song, another person brought a drum, and soon the entire estate was singing old tunes that everyone somehow knew. An older woman shared roasted cassava, a young mother passed around mugs of uji, and an old man told stories from the past about the time Nairobi had only one traffic light. Everyone laughed. For a while we forgot about our phones, the darkness, and even time itself. Malik sat beside me watching the lantern's flame dance in the wind. "Funny," he said quietly, "how light feels brighter when it's shared." I nodded, maybe because it brings people together. He glanced at me, and for a moment we didn't need to say anything. Around us the courtyard glowed with small lights and smiling faces. It felt like home. When it started getting late, people began returning to their houses, but no one seemed in a hurry. Malik helped me carry the lantern back to my door. "Good night, Zuri," he said softly. "Good night," I replied. "Thank you for helping with the lights." He smiled. "It wasn't just me. You brought the first one out." After he left, I stood for a moment at my doorway, looking at the lantern's soft flame. The blackout had started as a nuisance, but now it felt like a gift, a reason for strangers to talk, for laughter to return, and maybe for something new to begin. That night the estate was quiet again, but in my heart the light kept burning. The following evening arrived with a cool breeze and the sound of distant laughter. The blackout had now lasted almost a week, but no one complained anymore. People had accepted it as part of life. I found myself looking forward to the evenings, to the calm and the quiet conversations that came with them. Malik knocked just after sunset. I had been expecting it, though I tried to act surprised when I opened the door. He was holding 2 plates covered with a clean kitchen towel. "I cooked," he said with a proud grin. "Please don't judge if it's terrible." I smiled. "I'll try to be kind." He laughed and placed the plates on the table. It was rice and beans, simple but smelled wonderful. We ate by the lantern again, our shadows stretching long across the walls. We talked about little things at first, how everyone in the estate had started sleeping early, how quiet the city had become without its usual hum. But as the night grew darker, our words slowed down, and the conversation took a softer turn. He told me he had moved to the estate after a painful breakup. It was his way of starting over, he said, a chance to find peace. I listened quietly, surprised by how open he was. He didn't sound bitter, just honest. When he asked about my life, I told him about losing my mother 2 years ago and how work had become a way to keep from feeling too much. It wasn't something I usually shared, but that night it came easily. Maybe it was the lantern's warmth, or maybe it was just him. Malik nodded, his eyes gentle. "It's strange," he said softly. "We both came here looking for peace and we found each other instead." I smiled but didn't know what to say. His words lingered in the air between us, warm and quiet. Outside, the wind rustled through the trees, and someone far off started singing an old love song. When he stood to leave, he paused at the door. "Thank you for trusting me with your story," he said. "Thank you for listening," I replied. After he left, I sat for a long time, staring at the lantern's flame. It flickered and steadied again, its light calm and certain. For the first time in years, my heart felt light too, as if a door I had kept closed for too long had quietly opened. The next night, clouds gathered over the city. By evening, the sky had turned a deep grey and the air smelled of rain. I closed my windows and set the lantern on the table, its light soft against the dim room. When the first drops began to fall, they came fast and heavy, drumming against the tin roofs and washing the dust from the streets. I was just about to make some tea when I heard hurried footsteps in the corridor, followed by a knock on my door. It was Malik, soaked from head to toe, holding a plastic bag close to his chest. "I was downstairs when it started," he said between short breaths. "Mind if I wait out the rain here?" Of course not, I said quickly. Come in. He stepped inside, water dripping from his hair and jacket. I handed him a towel and he laughed. I promise I didn't plan to make an entrance like this. It's fine, I said, smiling as I motioned toward the table. Sit down before you catch a cold. He placed the bag on the table and pulled out a loaf of bread and a small jar of peanut butter. My emergency supplies, he said. I thought we could share. We made sandwiches and sat by the lantern while the rain beat steadily outside. Thunder rolled in the distance, and for a moment the whole room flashed white before returning to its soft golden glow. We ended up laughing about the storm, about how Nairobi rain always arrived like it was angry. Malik told a story about the time his students had refused to go home during a downpour because they believed the rain would wash away their exam failure. I told him how my grandmother used to say rain was the earth's way of reminding people to rest. The air smelled of wet soil and roasted peanuts. Our laughter mixed with the sound of rain, and everything felt easy, natural, unhurried. When the storm finally began to fade, Malik stood up to leave. I walked him to the door. He turned back for a moment and said softly, "I'm glad I got caught in the rain tonight." I felt my cheeks warm, though I didn't know what to say. "Good night, Malik," I whispered. "Good night, Zuri," he replied, smiling. After he left, I looked at the lantern still glowing steadily on the table. Outside, the rain had stopped, but the streets shone with reflections of light and puddles. I sat there for a while, listening to the soft drip of water from the rooftops. The night felt quiet again, but not lonely. Somehow, the rain had washed away more than just dust. The evening came quietly, the kind that felt peaceful from the start. The air was still cool after the rain, and the scent of damp soil drifted through my open window. The estate had settled into its new rhythm, laughter in the courtyard, soft voices, and the glow of scattered candles. I was sketching by lantern light when I heard a gentle tap on my door. Malik didn't wait for me to ask who it was this time. "I brought something," he said as soon as I opened the door. He held up a small bag of groundnuts and 2 mugs. "We can't have tea every night," he added with a grin. I laughed and let him in. "You're becoming the official supplier of snacks for blackouts." "It's an honorable title," he said, settling on the floor beside the lantern. We shared the groundnuts and talked about ordinary things, food prices, power bills, and the endless promise from the electricity company that the lights would return soon. But after a while, the conversation shifted. He told me how teaching had started as an accident. He had wanted to study architecture, but when his father fell ill, he took a job at a local school to help his family. "I thought it would be temporary," he said, smiling faintly, "but then I realized I liked watching people learn." I listened, admiring the calm in his voice. There was a steadiness about him that felt rare. When he spoke, it was with a kind of quiet honesty that made every word matter. I found myself telling him about my dreams too, how I wanted to open a small design studio someday, one that worked with local artists. He nodded thoughtfully. "You'll do it," he said simply, like it was a fact, not a wish. Outside, someone began playing soft music from a radio. The tune drifted through the air, low and sweet. The children downstairs were singing along, their voices blending with the night. Malik looked around and said, "It feels like the whole world slows down when the lights go off." "It does," I agreed. "Maybe we needed it." We sat quietly after that, not needing to fill the silence. The lantern flickered gently between us, its flame steady and bright. When he left, he paused at the doorway and looked back at me. "Same time tomorrow." I smiled, "Same time." After he was gone, I sat for a while, tracing the rim of my mug and watching the flame sway. There was something comforting about knowing he would come again. The blackout no longer felt like a pause in life. It had become a bridge, connecting 2 quiet souls who might never have noticed each other in the noise of ordinary days.